Hello students, a very good day to you all. I am Anita Ravindra GR. Today we will be dealing with social science history. We will be learning about the second episode of the 7th chapter, Civilizing the Native and Educating the Nation. Dear students, soon after completing this lesson, you will be able to understand the importance of Hood's dispatch of 1854, its nature and character, implementation of European language in India, importance of Oriental knowledge and reasons during the colonial period, the importance and focus of school education in 19th century, emergence of university education, to know the importance of William Adams' report on the structure of school education during the 19th century, Mahatma Gandhi's and Rabindranath Tagore's view on European and Indian education. The learning outcomes after learning this lesson is: learners will understand historical development of Western education in India. Learners can explain the institutionalization of the new education system in India. Learners will be able to analyze the significant developments that took place in the area of education during British rule. Learners will become aware of the difference between Western education and India's ancient Gurukula system, and learners will be able to distinguish the difference of opinion in adopting Western education in India. Hello students, in the previous lesson you learnt about the richness of Indian education, which was appreciated by eminent personalities of that period. You have also learned that a few British officials criticized India's ancient education system. In this lesson, you will learn how the Western education was implemented in India with all its practical difficulties and colonial policies. Before we proceed with the topic, student, can you tell me in which language I am conversing with you all? Yes, you are right, it is English. But my dear students, English language is a foreign language. How did it become a dominant and universal language for us in India? Let me take you back to the pre-19th century of India, which was under the British rule. In 1854, a very important document was dispatched by the Board of Directors of East India Company. This document was issued by Charles Hood, who was the president of this Board of Directors of East India Company. Hence, it is popularly called as Hood's Dispatch. What exactly is Hood's Dispatch? The Hood's Dispatch outlined the educational policy to be followed in India. It emphasized the practical benefits of European learning. It argued that the literature of the East was full of errors because it was felt that it could not instill a sense of duty and commitment to work, and it was also felt that it could not develop skills required for administration. What was the intention for implementing European education in the country? The intentions were to learn about trade and commerce, to know the importance of developing resources of the country, to develop the skills required for administration, to supply the East India Company with trusted and honest servants, to change Indians' taste and lifestyle by introducing European ways of life, which would increase the demand for British goods. Europeans thought that by introducing the European system of education, it would improve the moral characters of Indians. The intention was also to spread European education from primary level to university level. So, now you know the intention of the Britishers to impart European education in India. So, what was the measures taken to implement that European education? Let us look into it one by one. Schools, colleges and universities were set up in important centers like Bombay, Calcutta and Madras. Education department of governments were established in all provinces to control and supervise matters regarding education. The medium of instruction at the primary level will be of vernacular language, that is in mother tongue, and at the higher level it will be in English. When these measures were taken to implement European education in India, what happened to the local schools of India? I am sure that all of you have understood through the previous lesson how the implementation of British education in India changed the existing system of Indian education. Very shortly, we will go in detail about it, but first let us know how was the Indian education system before the European education system was implemented, and what type of schools existed at that time. William Smith, a Scottish missionary, toured all over Bengal and Bihar in 1830s. As instructed by East India Company, he prepared a report on the progress of the vernacular schools in India at that period. This report of William Adams throws light on Indian education system during 1830s. So, what did the report state? The report stated the following: over 1 lakh pathshalas existed in Bengal and Bihar. These pathshalas were endorsed by wealthy people or the local community or even by a guru. These pathshalas enrollment strength was only up to 20 students. What was the uniqueness of these pathshalas? In this pathshala, there were no fees, there were no printed books, there were no separate school buildings, there was no separate classrooms, there was no benches or chairs and not even a blackboard. There was no roll call register, that means taking attendance every day. There was no annual examination, there was no regular timetable, and no classes were held during harvest season. So, if there were no classroom, then where were the classes held? It was held in the Guru's house or under a banyan tree or in the corner of a village shop or temple. How did the students pay their fees? The fees depended on the income of the parent. The rich had to pay more than the poor. So, how did the Guru imparted education in the school? The teaching in this pathshala was orally done. The Guru decided what to teach according to the need of the students. All students sat together in one place. The Guru interacted separately with groups of children according to their different levels of learning. Classes were not held in the harvest season as rural children could not attend the classes. Why? Because at the time of harvesting, these rural children would help their parents for that harvesting period. After the harvest period was over, that is, crops had been cut and stored, the Pathshalas would reopen. So, this would enable the children of the peasant family also to attend school. In his report, William Adams stated that this flexible system of education suited the local needs. The implementation of European education gave rise to new routines and new rules. Up to mid 18th century, East India concentrated on higher education. Hence, it allowed the Pathshalas to function without much interference. But after 1854, the following measures were adopted to improve the vernacular education system. Routines were imposed, rules were established, regular inspections of schools were done. Government pundits were asked to look after 4 to 5 schools. These pundits should submit periodic reports to the government. Regular timetables should be followed. Teaching to be based on textbooks. Learning was tested through annual examinations. Students should pay regular fees. Students should obey the new rules of discipline. Classes would have fixed number of seats. Students should regularly attend classes. But the problem was the children of peasant families could not attain the classes during the harvest period. This was considered as indiscipline and lack of desire to attend school regularly. Pathshalas which accepted new rules were given government grants. Those Pathshalas unwilling to adopt these new rules did not get any government support. Gurus who wanted to retain their independence found it difficult to compete with these government schools and regulated Pathshalas. So, what was the agenda for national education? In the 19th century, a few Indian thinkers and middle class Indians were impressed with the development in Europe. They felt that European education would help to modernize India too. Hence, they urged the British to open more universities, schools and colleges in India. At the same time, there were Indian schools and scholars who were opposed to this European system of education. Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore, two outstanding Indian thinkers, advocated native Indian education system. Mahatma Gandhi had stated that European education had enslaved us. He stated that English education had created a sense of inferiority in the mindset of Indians. This European education destroyed India's pride in their culture. The Indian youth educated in the Western institution became admirers of British rule. English educated Indians distanced themselves from their own surroundings. Western education focused only on reading and writing and ignored the oral education. Textbooks were valued more than practical experience. Literacy of reading and writing were not counted as education. So, what did Mahatma Gandhi wanted in the education system? He felt that Indian languages, that is the mother tongue, should be the medium of instruction. Education should develop a person's body and soul. Mahatma Gandhi felt that education should focus on practical learning. He felt that using one skill through practical knowledge will help to develop one's mind and capacity to understand. With the spread of national movement, other thinkers also began to think of national system of education which would be different from that of British system of education. Dear students, here is a picture. Can you identify this picture? Yes, you are right. This picture is of Shantiniketan, world famous university, which was established by Rabindranath Tagore. This world famous Shantiniketan was established in 1901. Why do you think Tagore established this university? Let us look into the reasons. Tagore hated school during his childhood days. He considered it as a prison and found it oppressive and suffocating. Tagore felt that creative learning should be conducted in a natural environment which would help to develop the child's natural creativity. He wanted the teachers to be imaginative, able to understand the child and help to develop the child's curiosity. He was of the strong opinion that childhood should be a time of self-learning. Tagore was of the view that the existing education system did not encourage creativeness or a sense of wonder about the surroundings in the child. Therefore, he established his school in a rural setting about 100 kilometers away from Calcutta, that is Shantiniketan. He considered it as an abode of peace where children live in harmony with nature and cultivate natural creativity. Mahatma Gandhi and Tagore had the following similar views pertaining to education. Both believed in practical knowledge. They agreed that a child should learn from outside the rigidities of textbook. They believed that a child should become creative through art, craft and nature. But there was a difference in the educational views of Mahatma Gandhiji and Rabindranath Tagore. What were they? Gandhiji felt that Western education hampered Indian culture. He did not give importance of education on machines and technologies. Whereas Rabindranath Tagore wanted to combine the elements of Western education and the best of Indian traditions. He emphasized the need to teach science and technology along with art, music and dance. As the British brought drastic changes in the education system, a few Indian scholars wanted a change within the system set by the British, like Rabindranath Tagore. Others wanted alternative systems so that people were educated into a culture that was truly national, like Mahatma Gandhiji. So, we can conclude that many individuals were debating about ways in which a national education system could be designed, and that debate is still alive. Until the time of Education Act in 1870s, India's scenario was like this. There was no widespread education. Child labor was prevalent. Poor children could not attend school as they too had to work to help their family. Number of schools that were existed were those set up by missionaries or by wealthy people. Thomas Arnold, an educational thinker of that time, and also the headmaster of a private school, Rugby, advocated that study of classics should be done to discipline the mind. Education of the young to become civilized adults, to understand society's notion of right and wrong, proper or improper behavior. Dear students, I hope by now you have understood how the Western education was started in India and what were the impact on the Indian education system after the implementation of this Western education. So, now we come to the end of this chapter. Let us recap what all we have learnt. The Court of Directors of East India Company under their President Charles Hood issued a dispatch which brought forth the adoption of European education in India. This dispatch is known as Hood's dispatch. Education departments and universities were established and were controlled and regulated by the government. William Adams' report of 1830s gave a detailed explanation of the system of pathshalas and their structure. The education policy of the British rule changed the India's Gurukula or pathshala system. A few Indians felt the need for the education system as envisaged by the British. Mahatma Gandhi did not favor European education and stressed on practical oriented basic education. Rabindranath Tagore favored a mixture of European and Indian education with stress on child's creativity and curiosity. The debate for a right educational system is still going on. Now, children, based on this episode of what you have learned, I want you to find out the history of your school and submit this work to your teacher later. Secondly, take a political outline map of India and mark the first 3 universities that were established by the British in India. If you were given a choice, which type of education system would you follow? The Western education or the Gurukula system of education? Give reasons for your answer and submit this assignment to your teacher. I hope you enjoyed learning this lesson, and I hope you will be able to understand the differences between Western education and Indian education. Have a good day. Thank you.